and welcome to another episode of the Yachting Brief. And before I introduce our next guest, I am going to ask you, do you believe that your branding is doing enough to stand out in our luxury market? And if you're just not sure how that looks, head to studiovoyage.co.uk or get in touch with me at hello@studiovoyage.co.uk. So on today's episode, I have personal trainer extraordinaire of the seas, Seán Joyce. Now, Seán has carved out a unique space in the world of fitness, becoming a leading personal trainer on board some of the world's most exclusive yachts. With years of experience helping yacht owners and crew stay consistent, confident, and on control of their health, Seán has mastered the art of creating tailored workout programs that thrive in challenging environments at sea. Now he's taking his expertise to the next level with the launch of a dedicated fitness app, which we will talk about, designed to bring personalized training and lifestyle guidance to the global yachting community. Welcome, Seán.
Hi, how you doing?
Quite the introduction. So, Seán, if you want to start and just tell us where you've been and how you've got to this point.
Yeah, so I'll try and keep this kind of short, but it's kind of when I left university, I studied international business at university, and then I kind of went on a bit of a traveling spree of kind of figuring out where I wanted to go and whatnot. I ended up going to Germany for a little bit, Australia for a little bit, and then when I was in Australia, I was like working for a yacht brokerage firm. I was doing personal training a little bit, and I ended up working at a sailing club. And then I was kind of enjoying it over there. I heard about yachting, and I was like, maybe I'll get into yachting one day and see how that goes. But then I was pretty happy in Australia, and then COVID happened, and then I ended up having to come back to the UK. And then when I got back to the UK, I was like, I might actually look into this yachting thing and see what it's all about. And there was still jobs going in like June 2020, I think it was. So I ended up trying to just basically hop on the first flight to Antibes. I got a job as a decky for like a season. And even then I was kind of just like, I'll do this for a season. COVID will be over by like September, and then I'll go back to land and just figure things out again. And then 5 years later, I'm still doing yachting. But yeah, it's kind of like one job's kind of led to another. As I was a deckhand, and then I was a deckhand, and then I did a little bit of running with the owner on my second boat, and then now I'm like a full personal trainer. Still do some deck work as well, but yeah, full personal trainer on this boat with the owners, with the guests, and all that kind of thing. And it's kind of just been a build up of my experiences over the past like 5 years since university to like now, learning basically for myself how to train on a boat and how to navigate the difficulties of training and eating. And I've basically kind of tried out any different training split. I've bulked up, I've leaned out, I've trained for like a marathon, all whilst being on a boat. And then it's only recently in the past like year so I've been on this boat now for like 2 years, just over. I was training the boss, training the owners, and then all the crew were asking for workouts. And then it was kind of like, it felt pretty natural to start offloading all this information that I've kind of built over the past 5 years, I guess. So without even realizing it, I kind of started building the business when I first got into yachting, because I was basically working out in an engine room, working out in tech spaces, basically figuring out anything I could do to put a workout together in a small space without any equipment, or wherever I was in the world, finding a gym, different ports and all that kind of thing. And then it felt quite natural just to start giving people workouts and things like that. And then the idea of the app came about, and then one thing's kind of just led to another. And I'm kind of, really pushing the app now, and I'm enjoying it, and seeing where it can go. And I'm having so many different ideas in this space. So it's been a bit crazy, but yeah, it's been cool.
When was the pivotal moment that you realized this could be like your career, and you realized, okay, I've got a hybrid here of personal training and yachting. Here it goes.
Well, on my second boat, I was kind of like, and I wasn't a personal trainer by any stretch, but I was doing a lot of running with the owners and the guests, and mainly being a deckhand, to be honest. But then that's when I started hearing about you could be a personal trainer on a boat, and I had my personal training qualification. And then I got offered a personal training gig on a boat, and I wasn't too sure how much personal training I was going to do on this boat. Ended up doing heaps. So when I'm on trip now, it's pretty much just personal training, which is really nice. And then when I started training the crew through the app and whatnot like that, and giving them workouts, it was kind of like, okay, this actually works. And all the systems that I've built up over the past 5 years, it's not just like with training. Obviously the training is a big side of the app, and people need workouts because they're not too sure what to do, or they don't have the creativity of knowing what to do.
Or even the brain capacity to think about it. Like when you're
Exactly,
on board, all you want is someone to tell you what to do. That's how I felt about it.
Yeah, for sure. And then as I've got more into the coaching of the crew, it's like the workouts are one thing, but it's the systems that I've kind of built in terms of nutrition. So obviously on a boat, as well as I do, it's you don't get to choose your meals, which
No.
is really, really nice, obviously. And it is a luxury. And you've got the crew mess, which is just full of snacks. And it can be quite hard to navigate if you don't really know what you're doing. And I see a lot of greenies, and they'll come in and they won't really know how to eat properly, and they'll kind of continuously snack throughout the day. And it's just because they don't have the systems in place to kind of understand what they're doing,
Yeah.
follow a specific plan, and then kind of figure out how to navigate eating all these meals throughout the day, and not just going kind of crazy and just eating all the meals consistently, but kind of strategically eating high protein and all that kind of thing, and snacking properly rather than just going for the unhealthy snacks, which I've done, and then figured out how to not do that throughout my time in yachting, obviously. But it's been cool just to figure out these like just the systems that are in place rather than just training. It's like the motivation to train, being on trip, understanding that people need rest, and because you can be sometimes doing 14 to even like 18-hour days, and a day like that, you're not really going to want to train. You're going to want to have a nap or something like that on the break if you do get a break. So it's very different to being a trainer on land. I think that's one of the main differences, really. Like, you can have a personal trainer, an online PT, let's say, on land, but they're just not going to understand how yachting works, and all the different things that come with it. So the crossings, the shipyards, the boss trips, the being in port, then you've got crew dinners, and it's just like a whirlwind of different things. And it's such a fast-paced environment that it can get away from you. And it has, to be fair, for me, a few times it's kind of got away from me, because you get involved in drinking, obviously, and the party aspect of yachting. You end up in Antigua, and there's like a million different yachts there, and everyone's going out, and then you go out on a big weekend, and you're back in work on Monday, and you haven't really done anything productive, and it's pretty fun, obviously, and then you have to get these things out of your system. But then it's just, if you want to be long term in yachting, and you want to actually have, I say, if you're on a 5-month rotation to start out, you need to see that 5 months through without wanting to without starting to hate it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And as I'm getting to more like personal training side and working with more people on boats, I'm hearing more and more different things of how they're struggling with training on board, or motivation, or eating. And I've kind of just put all this together, and it's kind of, the app I work with is really, really good, because I can just put it in and change the app quite freely. It doesn't take ages to kind of put something new into the app and get it out to everyone. So
I like that. The idea, like any other app, it's where are you working out? A gym, a yoga studio? Nah, tech space. 3x3.
yeah, tech space, the foredeck, anywhere.
With
Yeah.
anywhere. And when you're speaking to these individuals, is there a common theme that's coming through of like the biggest obstacle? Or is it just an amalgamation of, time, lack of food, diet, the fact you're catered to by a chef, thankfully, but also
For
can
sure.
be the worst?
Yeah.
What's the most common?
Yeah. So when I started actually online training people on boats, it was obviously the main ones were time, obviously with boss trips and all that kind of thing. The time everyone's like, I've not got any time, I need to sleep, I need to relax, whatever. Equipment, obviously not every single boat is kitted out with full equipment. Like pretty much all boats aren't, really. Even if you're on a 100-meter boat, you might not have a specific crew gym. And then obviously if you're on anything less than 50 meters, the chances of having a gym are you're probably not going to have a gym, really. So there's time, equipment, space. But then as I've started to really get deep into like training, it's also sort of confidence. People aren't too confident, and creativity. So in terms of like confidence, so I've worked on boats and been a part of it where there is a crew gym, and it can always be kind of full of the deck team playing loud music. It's kind of like a bit of an alpha sort of environment,
Such a
quite,
theme.
I know it can be quite intimidating for anyone else to go in the gym, which I'm a bit guilty of, because I do like training with the lads and getting stuck into a big session playing loud music, which is really good for the deck team. But then some of the girls and some of the other, I don't know, engineers, whatever, might think, I'm not going to go use the gym. So it's kind of figuring out times that they can do it, workouts they can do in their cabins, or anything else, basically. So yeah, there's like confidence, and then creativity as well. Creativity it's probably the biggest one, because you might have only a set of dumbbells, you might only have a kettlebell. Like the first boat I worked on, we had a little box in the engine room, and I think it had a kettlebell, a few resistance bands. I think that was basically it. And if you don't have a actual plan in place for that, you're not going to have the time to you're not going to want to go into the engine room for a start and train. And then if you don't have a specific plan that you're following, you're just not going to do it, basically. Or if you're going to do it, you're going to be like really, really disciplined to actually want to do it. Well, that's what I've kind of geared the app as well towards that. When I'm launching the app fully on the 1st of May, I think it's going to be, to like the whole yachting community, if they want to use it, it's all built around yacht crew. So there's not many, I don't even know if there is any apps that are built specifically for yacht crew to track their workouts, to be honest. I don't think there is. I've built the app around the rotations as well. So obviously it's either 2-2, 2-1, 3-1, 4-2, or 5-1, roughly.
Yeah.
That's like the
roughly.
rotation. So you can kind of go on there and you're going to be able to pick up a program that it matches up and lines up with your rotation, which I think is basically what I would have wanted 5 years ago, which I guess is like a good way of building a business.
Yeah. And in that, how do you think that the industry has actually changed? So, if you'd said to someone, I've had people on this podcast as well, like, 25 years in the industry, what do you think they would have said if you said, like, I'm now producing an app to make crew work out on board?
I think for sure in the past 5 years, there's been a massive transition for captains and HODs to look after crew. And it's all about promoting a healthy environment. Whereas back in the day, I don't know, about 10, 20 years ago, it's probably all about the yacht lifestyle and visually looking at it and going, that must be really cool to go out and party in the nicest locations in the world. And there is still an aspect of that. And I think balance is really, really, really crucial, to be honest, because I also like going out and enjoying a beach club.
Yeah, you need to let your hair down if you're on board. Like, you actually do.
Yeah, you do. You do. You can't just be strictly disciplined fitness, eating so many calories a day. It's really not about that. It's about finding a balance. But it's also like being a PT on board now. I constantly get the captains asking me if I want a bigger budget for gym equipment.
No way.
Yeah, they're super keen to kind of push that and basically build bigger spaces for training. I think they understand that now. It's such a big part of yachting, and even a new crew member joining a boat, a big part of that, them wanting to join a boat is going to be if there's a gym, if the crew are active, if there's sort of a bit of a culture.
It's definitely a selling point now on boats. Like, my timeline is exactly the same as you. I came into yachting at the start of COVID, thinking it was a way of running out of England. And I was 5 years in, but I reckon towards the end of 2 years that I did it, when I was discussing new programs, it was always, you get this amount of leave, this is your salary, and we have a crew gym on board. Like, it was a real selling point, to be fair. And the last one I worked on was a 70 meter, and that had a fully kitted out gym, and it was pretty sick. But again, back to your point of, if I send that to my PT at home, she would message me and be like, oh, I realized you didn't do this workout today. And it's like, because I physically haven't had the time in the day. Like, I might have walked 50,000 steps today, but I haven't managed to get in that gym. And it's your understanding of the industry that lends itself so nicely to what is actually going on board.
Yeah, for sure. It's so different to any land-based role, to be honest with you. It's because it's just like, it's so fast paced as well. There's never a kind of a dull moment on a boat. Maybe shipyard would be the quietest times and it would be maybe a little bit more chilled. But if you're going into a mid-season or a Caribbean season like I've just done, it's kind of your day-to-day schedule is pretty much different every single day. You can almost guarantee that if you're going to be moving from port to port, you're going to be on trip, you're going to be doing a crossing, and every single day is completely different. So it's quite hard to build in a routine that is the same for every single day. So it's again, it's just about building kind of systems in place that that you can kind of follow. And I've posted them on the app as well. So it's specifically like eating strategies. So it's not a meal plan. So you can't have a meal plan as a yachty. It's because you don't cook any of the meals, which is obviously a luxury, but it can be quite difficult. So it's about strategically, if you wanted to lose weight, if you wanted to bulk up, how to tackle breakfast, lunch, dinner in a way that's going to be beneficial rather than just not thinking about it. Sometimes, some of the times it's just about thinking about it a bit more. And a lot of people don't have the knowledge because why would they, if they don't have a background in nutrition or they don't have a background in fitness, they're probably not going to have much knowledge on what they should eat and what they shouldn't eat, or if they're going into an engine room to train, how to train specifically a different body type, body parts. So it's it's mainly just about understanding yacht crew's needs. As you said, it's becoming a big part of like a boat's identity now, like fitness. It's becoming huge. Like you see the evolution of like run clubs on land. It's becoming a thing on boats now. Like the boat I work on, we'll go out on group runs. So in the morning before work, or wherever we get to, it's like the first thing we'll now do. It's become a bit of the identity, which I think is really cool, to be honest, because
I like that.
Rather than getting somewhere, don't get me wrong, we've done this, you get somewhere and you find the nearest bar. It's all about like getting somewhere. Okay, well, let's go for a run. That's, for example, Antigua. We were in Antigua recently, got there. First thing we did the goat trail. ran around the
track.
goat trail, and
Goat
then
track.
and then we went down for a dip, and then we all had a beer. And I think that's pretty cool. I think that's like, I think that it's definitely moving from just like a party centric sort of get on a boat and everyone goes crazy to it's more of like a lifestyle now. And it's
Yeah.
about building a bit of I think it's cool to have a fitness identity on a boat.
Yeah,
And I
no,
think
it is.
once it becomes kind of contagious as well, because I've worked on boats where not many people train. And then I'll start training, and then I'll go for a run with someone, and then someone's in the gym the next day, and then all of a sudden all the crew are in the gym at 6 a.m. and it's like, how's this happened? And
Get out. There's not enough room.
yeah, it gets a bit like that in the end, but it's better like that than completely no one training, I think. And it just makes a better
And
work environment.
what do you think that does for crew morale on board?
I think it's does everything really. Everyone's in a much better mood, and it just you need to have that bit of a lift, and you need to keep them levels pretty high, just because of the stress and the sort of the workload that comes with yachts, because you can burn out so fast, and the burnout's going to be even faster if you're drinking all the time. You're not getting enough recovery, and then you're working super long hours and you're not really understanding why all this is happening. And it's happened to me before where I've worked on boats where you don't really get time to train, to be honest. And when you're on a boss trip, it's just madness. And then you're so tired, and then you finish a trip and you just all you want to do is have a drink, which is fine, and I think that's cool to do. But it's just like it's just in terms of longevity and the motivation, and it's just going to bring the boat down a little bit. But having like a specific system in place and a fitness program in place, it's kind of nice just to know that it's there. And then rather than being on a boss trip and you're 15 days into a trip and you're not going to work out, it's nice to just have something on an app or whatever it is, just to go, not think about it, and smash out a workout. I think that's going to be really nice for crew in the future, for sure.
I think as well as something about voluntary movement, like, yes, you're on board. Yes, you are moving. Yes, by the end of a boss trip, you're like, my uniform does no longer fit. But also, like, for me, every time we finished a boss trip, I would try and do some sort of workout to be like, I would go and do a workout to be like, this, I can do this because my body can do this for me, rather than it just being like, it became like a mindset that was like, right, let's just do this workout. And I feel like I've almost taken control back again of the workouts I'm doing, the reason I'm using my body. And that always, it's just a mindset shift of like, okay,
For sure.
now we're back in the real world again. It's fine, and I think, what would your message be to crew members that are just a bit confused at the moment of how to navigate fitness on board?
Yeah, well, like you said, then it's about control. You can lose control pretty quickly in yachting, and it can all just get away from you. But fitness it can give you that control again. If you know you're going to train at some point through the day, it just gives you that little goal throughout the day to have that little fitness, and you can be in control of exactly what you're doing, and you're going to be progressing, and you're going to be getting fitter, and it's going to put you in a bit of a better mood. And motivation's it's a funny one, because in yachting it's not really linear. There's going to be dips in motivation for anyone, and that's like, it's perfectly normal. And it's just about understanding that maybe 2 weeks into a boss trip, go and have a nap, just take it easy for a couple of days, but then knowing that that's absolutely fine, and you can crack on with your workouts later on in the week. But the app's also pretty good for that, because you can see your week and you can kind of move the workouts around depending on how busy your week's going to be, if you've had a really long day. And it's also about like just managing things. Like, we were on a budget trip recently, and the amount of food that comes through from the guests, that's also just kind of like leftovers, and it's like nachos, it's like donuts and all that kind of thing.
You're making me I miss it now you're speaking like this.
And everyone's just tucking in, and it's like, it's at the end of the day, we're not professional athletes, so it's fine if you do that, and it's actually probably quite good for your mood and your motivation to just have a bit of a snack in the crew mess. And it's just about understanding that's not going to ruin an entire week's worth of dieting, or being disciplined in what you're eating, and being disciplined in your training. And it's not just about letting that one moment slip and then, okay, sack it for the rest of the boss trip. I'm just going to be lazy, and I'm just going to eat a load of different foods. And for some people that I've worked with, it's just about them hearing that, and them going, oh yeah, maybe it isn't actually. They've not really thought about it that way. And it's just a bit of a mindset shift, rather than just being like, that's kind of like, they know where they get to a certain stage of a boss trip and they're going to feel like that, and they're just like, sack it, I'm just going to overindulge in whatever. It's just about them going, yeah, that's fine. It's completely normal to feel like that.
Obviously, you were brought on initially for the owners and the bosses. So how do you think that the culture is changing in terms of these owners and what they require from their yachts?
Yeah, so it fully depends on the owner, where they're from, type of person they are. I'm looking to work for some really, really good owners right now, and it's a funny one with owners. It's just getting to understand their needs. At the end of the day, it's like you're on their boat, and they expect a good service, obviously, and it's just about building a program around that suits their needs and understanding exactly what sort of day they're having, what sort of trip they're having, the guests they're having. It can be kind of like, over the past 2 years, I've kind of honed it in. Sort of, I'll understand the type of trip that it's going to be. So it's either going to be like a kind of a businessy sort of trip. So it's like training's going to be pretty hard, or it's a group trip. So it's going to be a bit more fun and engaging and getting other people involved and other guests. Or it's like a bit more of a socializing trip, a party trip, and they're going to come down to the gym and they're kind of just going to be like, too fussed about doing much, but I want to get a little session in. And then it's just about being on point with, I'd say, if you a personal trainer and you're looking to train guests, it's something that's really helped me, and it's made me a better coach, being a guest for these types of, let's say, like high net worth individuals. It's just being like super dialed in on the tiny details of, let's say, like making sure their exact drink is ready exactly when they need it. The music is exactly ready. The workouts I pretty much research every workout I'll put together for specific people. I'll research why they're doing that movement, what it's for, benefit of doing that movement, why they're taking that protein shake, why they're taking creatine, just things that these people expected you to know and just reel off. But it's made me a really good coach in terms of, this is transferred over into coaching crew. I'm not saying that I'm coaching crew, I would take them any less lightly and just take it more easy.
Yeah.
But for these types of people, they just expect it to be extremely like on point. And yeah, it's just the tiny details. Let's say it's a pure gym in England, whatever, and then you're moving on to these types of individuals.
Yeah,
I've not
it's
worked with them
totally
for
different.
so long, but I've also worked with a couple of coaches that have worked with these people for years and years. So I've been really lucky to learn off them, which
Okay.
has been really, really nice. So yeah, there's a couple of coaches that have taught me quite a lot in that respect of coaching these types of people. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's just a different type of person to coach. It's quite fun working with these people. It's like they're pretty influential people, some of them. So it's quite interesting. You meet people, travel to the best places in the world. It's a really cool, fun job to have. But yeah, then again, it's just like respecting these people as well and understanding the
Yeah.
boundaries and that kind of thing, and having that respect, I think, is pretty key. But yeah, it's super cool. Completely different to kind of training the crew. Obviously, the guests have the best gym. The crew might not have the best gym. Sometimes you have the same gym, but it's depends on the owner, of course.
Yeah, I spoke to a technical captain the other day who was doing refits, and I asked him the question of how the changes in generations and lifestyle is affecting the build. And he was saying, like, I said, about sustainability. And he was like, I've never encountered an owner that wants anything sustainable, but they all want saunas and they all want gyms. I thought that was quite fascinating. And the need for crew gym as well. That was something he mentioned on the bigger builds.
For sure, yeah. There's even, I think, I can't remember the name of the company, but there's a company out there that specifically builds gyms on yachts now. It's that
That's cool.
that's their only that's the only thing they do, basically. But it just shows you that there's a need for it.
There's a
Especially
niche in
on
a
these.
niche in a niche everywhere.
There is, yeah, and it's pretty cool. And I think the crew gyms are getting much better. The one I'm on now, the gym's insanely good. The budget's really, really good for the gym. They're kind of pushing for more gym equipment. They're constantly asking me, what do I need? So there's a big push for it, and all these new builds, that these boats are just getting bigger and bigger. There's going to be space for these gyms, and I've never worked on a boat that's like plus 120 meters, for example, but I know people that work on these boats, and the gyms on there are kind of crazy. It's kind of like a full commercial gym now, which is really, really nice. Yeah.
No, it is crazy. And your company is called Hybrid Yacht Performance. And then the app is going to be called.
The app's just a hybrid jet performance app. Yeah, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how is that going in terms of where you're up to and when that will be launched?
Yeah, so over the past, since like, I want to say September time, I've trialed it out with about 20 to 30 yacht crew. And it's just been a pretty good trial and error sort of period where I've implemented things that worked and things that haven't worked. All these crew, it's kind of crew that I know. They've told me what they
The
liked, what
most
they didn't
honest
like.
feedback is from people you know.
Yeah,
So
so
you're fine.
so what they like, what they didn't like. The transformations of some of the people have been really, really good. Like some of the girls have come on leaps and bounds. Some girls that have never really trained before, they're now following a full program, learning different movements and all that kind of thing. And it's all while being on a yacht. And body transformations have been crazy as well. So that's really good. I'm still going to do one-to-ones, and then as the app transitions, it's going to be there's going to be kind of 3 different tiers, I guess. So it's going to be like a crew membership. So you, for example, could purchase a membership that covers yacht specific programs, and you can have access to the nutrition library, which is like full of videos that I've made about nutrition, and it's all geared towards yachting. And it's basically like an on-demand section where you can go in there and there's a bunch of different videos, and there's all sorts of different information that I've put in there over the past like 6 months, and it's all centered around fitness and yachting. So there's like a specific single crew membership, and then there's going to be the Fleet Fit Core. So and that's basically for crew. So a yacht that can purchase that package for their crew of up to 25 crew.
Right.
So if a yacht purchases that, the whole of their 25 crew can use it. So that's anywhere from boats like, I don't know, 25 to let's say 75 meters potentially.
Yeah.
And then there's the Fleet Fit Pro membership, which is boats that are probably above 75 meters, and they can have up to 50 crew on that membership that can all use the app. So it's not actually the crew member paying for it. It will be the yacht as a whole, which I think is quite a nice feature, just because there's more and more boats that are pushing for health and fitness. The good thing about the Fleet Fit Core and the Fleet Fit Pro is that there's going to be a community section in that for that specific yacht. They'll be able to have like an actual space where they can all just talk about fitness, arrange run clubs, whatever it might be, anything fitness related, sort of hiking or anything like that. They can talk about it in that little space. And I will post in there regularly things that might help that yacht in terms of fitness and all that kind of thing, motivation and eating strategies. And they will all have access
challenges, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then they'll also have access to any different workout programs. So it's basically, as I said before, based on the rotation of what you might be on. So either 2-2 all the way up to like 5-1 basically. And then you can pick a workout program that suits your goals. So whether it's bulking up, whether it's leaning out, whether it's endurance or anything, that kind of thing. And then you can figure out what equipment you have, and then it will be quite easy to see, and then you can just go from there, and it should be quite seamless. And then over the next 6 months I'll probably find out more and more and more, and then kind of center the app towards that and keep building on that really. Nice. So yeah, it's kind of the early stages, but it's getting there.
No, it's really good. It's really impressive actually, and I think we're just fortunate that we live in this day of technology, and people who have ideas are able to do it and able to push forward. You know, you see these, you know, obviously entrepreneurial yourself, you saw a gap, you've tried to do something about it, and it will just evolutionize as more and more people use it. There's no need, there's no need to try and ceiling it. I think it will just keep going, which is really, really impressive. And so, in all of this, you know, you spoke about how you work with clients and you have to have that game face on. And how does your personal brand, how does that reflect into what you're doing?
Yeah, so as you say, like personal brand's been cool. I've kind of, as I've started this business, it's kind of given me time to reflect on like my yachting career and what I've done since university and what it's led to me towards now. And it's actually made me think about the brands that I like and all the fitness brands that I like on land and why I like them. And it's always to do with the community aspects of everything and what I see in whoever it is. Like I kind of want to be like them. That's why I use the brand, and they're very relatable. And what I'm trying to do is just be super relatable to yacht crew, which I think is quite easy for me to do because I'm a yachty myself. I've worked in yachting for 5 years, and now PT. They kind of, I think it gives them a bit of, it just makes them feel more comfortable working with someone like me rather than a PT that's based on land, because they just kind of know that I understand exactly what's going on. I've done Bosch trips, I've done crossings. They can message me whenever they want, and they know they're going to get an answer which is relatable to them. Yeah, building that brand for me over then it's going to be starting from kind of like recently to doing things like this, to building a bit of a following, going to the Palma Yacht Show, meeting crew, getting my face out there a little bit more, and I think that's going to be kind of cool. And yeah, the owners that I've worked with and things like that, I've told them about what I'm doing with the crew aspect, and they think it's quite a cool idea as well.
Oh, great.
Which has been pretty good to hear. But yeah, it's just about now, I think building a brand it's more than just an actual brand. It's kind of like the community aspect, which I think yachting's really good because there's a huge yachting community. And there's a huge push for yachting and fitness right now. So I think it's a good space to be in. And
just being authentic, I think that's a massive part of,
for
especially in what you're doing. It's not a vulnerable state, but it's definitely an honest state that people are having to, like, you know, identify if they need to train, or maybe they need to, you know, think a little bit more about what they're eating. And I think if you're having these honest conversations and got this app, which is like the most, you know, tailored something it just makes sense for the industry to like really lean in on it. So yeah, keep going. I have no doubt that we'll see a lot more of it in the future. You know, you mentioned there you're going to Palma Yacht Show. Is there anywhere else you'll be this year, or how can people find you, Seán?
So yeah, it's going to be the Palma Yacht Show, social media. That's it for now. Potentially I think in October, Fort Lauderdale Yacht Show. But I'm going to be super busy. I'll be in the Mediterranean over the summer.
Yeah, I have no doubt that this will all, you know, you seem like such an entrepreneurial character. You've obviously got a pep in your step to change the industry. So keep going and well done.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. No, you too. Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to set up a podcast and put yourself out there. I think it's really cool what you're doing. I'm looking forward to listening to the other podcast as well.
So we'll wrap that up with Seán. And if anyone else wants to carry on watching, head to the Yachting Brief on Spotify and like, comment and subscribe below. Thank you so much, Seán.
Yeah, for sure. Nice to speak to you, Kate. Speak to you soon.